So I don't know about you, but during the summer, my cooking gets lazier. I'm outside trying to work on that golf game a bit, playing ultimate frisbee at night to beat the heat, hitting the weights, or maybe taking an evening walk. So when I get back home and beeline towards that fridge, I want lots of food, I want it fast, and I want some healthy options so I can offset my increased ice cream consumption. So in today's video, I want to share 3 healthy meals that I've been demolishing this summer. Let's break it down. For me, summer dishes mean simple but big and fresh flavors. And from a lifestyle perspective, I wanted to check at least one of these boxes. First, the components or the whole dish can be made ahead of time. Second, ideally I can cook it in less than 10 minutes. And then third, load me up with all the fresh herbs and vegetables. And each of these recipes showcases one of these perspectives. So I'll have a macronutrient breakdown for each of the dishes, but also know that healthy eating can take on a variety of different forms for everybody. And this is just what is good for me and my current needs. In general, I'm looking for higher protein meals that I get excited to eat. So with that being said, let's start with dish number 1. These are some chili oil dressed noodles where all the components can be made ahead of time and stored in the fridge. And then all you have to do is dress them. These noodles in no way are meant to be an authentic or traditional dan dan noodle from Sichuan cuisine, but that's what they are inspired by. And a traditional version of dan dan noodles typically has 3 core components. 1, the chili oil vinaigrette, 2, the noodles, and then 3, the seasoned ground pork. And part of the reason why these are so good is they are swimming in a ton of fat from the chili oil and the ground pork, but we can still make a great version with some substitutions. So for the chili oil vinaigrette, add 30 grams of unsalted natural peanut butter or tahini, 5 grams of sesame oil, 30 grams of soy sauce, 45 grams of your favorite chili crisp, and then the juice from 1/2 of a lime. Now, feel free to adjust these ratios as you will after tasting, but this you can keep in the fridge almost indefinitely. It's this perfect mix of sweet, spicy, salty, and sour that pairs so well with the noodles and the beef. For the noodles, feel free to choose any that you like, but one of my favorite noodles to eat cold are soba noodles. Toss a pack of these into boiling water and let cook for 8 minutes before draining them. Now, soba noodles are solid nutritionally, but if you're looking for an even higher protein noodle that you could use for this dish, check out today's sponsor, Vite Ramen. From their naked nudes to individual packets or ramen bowls on the go, Vite Ramen serves up high protein and nutritionally complete craft ramen. For example, a plain 106 gram brick of their noodles is 400 calories and 23 grams of protein. Nutrition aside, from a lifestyle perspective, I also like the variety of form factors that I can customize to my liking. Vite Ramen Go, for example, can be opened up, add some water to in a microwave, or the ramen packets just need some boiling water. After mixing these up with the provided flavoring broth, toss everything to a bowl, and then I hit it with the aromatic oil. I also added some togarashi chili powder, the garlicky bison, I'll show you how to make this in a second, and then some scallions. A nutritionally complete meal in about 5 minutes. So if you want to pick up some naked nudes or the individual packets, head to the link in my description and use code ETHAN10 for 10% off your order, including access to some exclusive intro packs that get you free shipping and a couple of bonus gifts. After the noodles were done, I set a pot of water back on to boil along with a big pinch of salt and added in some asparagus. Let that cook for 3 to 4 minutes and then strain that off before chopping it into small pieces. Now, a traditional dan dan might use bok choy, but really any type of greens or vegetables can be added to this dish to give you some extra volume with very minimal calories added. Lastly, let's make the meat topping. So set a griddle or skillet over high heat, and I'm using lean ground bison along with some salt and 2 cloves of minced garlic. Break the meat up with a potato masher, and then optionally, I also sprinkled on some togarashi or whatever chili powder you happen to have on hand. Even though this bison doesn't have much fat, try to let it brown and then scrape with a spatula to get those little brown bits mixed in all over. Lastly, once it's cooked through, add a spoonful of the chili vinaigrette before transferring that to a container. And just like that, all of these components can be stored in containers in the fridge, and then all you have to do is dress them. So to assemble, add 15 grams or a tablespoon of the vinaigrette into the bowl and follow with 1.5 servings of the cooked soba noodles. Next, hit it with the asparagus on the side, then the beef in the center, and some fresh sliced scallions before adding one extra 5-gram drizzle of the sauce. Mix everything together, and let's devour. So I couldn't really stop with my taste test. This was like that spice level where it's kind of that addictive quality. It's like the perfect hit, and you just kind of got to finish the entire thing before you move on. But what's great about this dish really is these make-ahead components that you can just have in the fridge, and then it's kind of like just making a salad. You just dress it with this delicious, delicious sauce. And like I said, this is not really traditional or super authentic or anything. It's kind of on the spectrum of like dan dan noodles to chili garlic sesame noodles, but just dress them up and you're pretty much good to go. And one of my favorite tips too is adding volume through vegetables. So I use asparagus in this, but you could use any green or any vegetable you want. Just add some extra volume in there to, make you feel a little bit fuller, make the dish bigger in volume, like I was saying. This sauce is where most of your fat and your flavor is gonna lie, but you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to drown these noodles in oil to make them taste good. They'll taste good even with about 15 grams of this stuff. So keep that in mind as you're going through. Obviously, add as much as you want. Like, it's gonna taste good no matter what. But with that being said, let's move on to recipe number 2, which uses what I think is one of the most underrated quick cooking proteins. Now, straight up, I don't eat shrimp a ton, but during the summer, I always have a bag of it in my freezer. Why? Well, it can be cooked from frozen in less than 10 minutes, and for 4 ounces raw or 113 grams, it has 80 calories and 17 grams of protein, which is honestly kind of nuts. And then lastly, it pairs well with almost any sauce, and today I'm gonna make a legit 10-minute Chipotle shrimp taco that I eat when I want a high volume, high protein meal. So to start, get out a half pound or 227 grams of frozen shrimp and toss in a couple grams of salt, 15 grams of mayo, a big sprinkle of cumin, and then the pièce de résistance is 1 chipotle in adobo that I basically minced up into a paste. Toss that in and mix everything up until it is well combined. And the idea is that the mayo will be our oil source and stick to the exterior, hopefully giving us some nice browning on the pan. Before we cook these, make sure you have all your toppings ready because like I said, these will be done in like 5 minutes flat. For me, I have corn tortillas, some low-fat sour cream that I mixed with hot sauce, pickled onions of course, and then one of my favorite summer salsas, salsa verde. So I have a video breaking this down and the recipe is on my website, so I'm not gonna jump into the whole thing, but I highly recommend you give this taco topping combination a shot. But now, let's cook that shrimp. Get out the largest pan you have and set it over high heat. Once it's dripping hot, toss the shrimp on, and the key here is to not overcrowd the pan. Let that shrimp have space in between them so that water content can evaporate and the exterior will start to brown up faster. And if you do have a small pan, I would recommend doing this in small batches. I like getting a little color on the shrimp to about here. You don't really need to worry about overcooking them when you are doing them from frozen. Lastly, toss the corn tortillas on top of the shrimp to let them steam for about a minute before transferring that shrimp to a plate. To assemble these, I let the tortilla crisp on the bottom and meanwhile add that sour cream and hot sauce mixture, the shrimp, a drizzle of the salsa verde all over, and lastly, some pickled onions. The macros for one single taco clocks in at 163 calories and 13 grams of protein, but as I said, I generally down at least 3 or 4 of these at a time. Let's dive in. So it's insane how much flavor is packed into these. I mean, just using the chipotles and adobo with some ground cumin, salt, that mayo marinade, mix it all up. You don't have to use shrimp. I mean, you can do this with chicken or any meat that you wanted to. But what is really nice about shrimp is that it's great for like those nights maybe you get home late and you look in the fridge and you're like, oh, I have absolutely nothing. And then you remember you have that bag of frozen shrimp and this comes together in like literally 8 minutes. And then if you have the sauces, salsa verde, pickled onions, this is just some low-fat sour cream mixed with hot sauce, which is a great combination for a taco right here. So this is one of my favorites this summer. But that being said, let's move on to recipe 3. And the beauty about recipe 3 is actually not really the finished dish, but for me, it's all about the sauce. This is a lemon garlic herb yogurt sauce. So what makes this sauce special? Well, first, it's high protein and it actually tastes good. A 30-gram serving of this stuff has 26 calories and 2 grams of protein. And I still love ranch, but for reference, an equal amount of full-fat ranch is 120 calories, 0 grams of protein, and 13 grams of fat. Now secondly, you can keep this yogurt sauce in a squirt bottle in the fridge and then throw it on whatever you want to during the summer, but it really does go well with a massive batch of grilled vegetables and chicken. Let's make that sauce first. So to a blender or food processor, add 200 grams of non-fat plain yogurt, 15 grams of extra virgin olive oil, the juice from a half of a lime, a big handful of parsley, a handful of fresh mint, 20 cranks of black pepper, 1 clove of garlic, and some salt to taste, and then all you have to do is blitz it up. Make sure you taste it and adjust the salt and lemon juice as needed, which is really gonna make those flavors pop. It's definitely best during the first couple of days, but you should be able to keep this in the fridge for about a week or so. Now let's get to grilling. So I'm making big batches of chicken and vegetables, and if you have the time and remember, I highly recommend salting your vegetables and meats a full day or at least several hours in advance and then just storing them in the fridge. The salt is going to internally season the food and also dry out that exterior a bit, and then you can just pour off the excess water from the vegetables, which should help with browning on the grill. After dried off and when ready to grill, I like to spritz everything with just some baking spray and throw these on the high heat grill to cook. Now for the chicken, I'm just looking for some nice little grilled bits on the exterior and at least 175 internal. And then for the veggies, I kind of just let these go as long as they can until I get some nice deep browning and color on the exterior. To assemble this all into a meal, I just chopped all the vegetable up into pieces and tossed them onto a plate and added over a nice drizzle of that yogurt sauce. Then I added some chopped up chicken to the center, some more sauce over that, and some feta and pickled onions over the top, and we are good to go for a delicious, super flavorful grilled summer meal. So all 3 of these recipes will be up on my website if you guys want to give them a shot. And again, these are healthy for my current needs and goals, but healthy eating can look very different for just about everyone, but hopefully you enjoyed kind of taking a look at some of the healthy meals that I'm demolishing this summer. But really paying attention to how these can fit into your lifestyle with cooking, with your work-life balance and all that, I think is the important takeaway. But it's gonna wrap it up for me in this one. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace, and seriously, this sauce goes so hard with grilled vegetables.